if you get into a startup, you better have a spouse who's completely committed and an entire family who's more committed to this than you are. If you don't have that support system, you're going to be a abysmal failure. My first startup was a company called Logic Vision. In the morning when I have time, I'm going to my first customer, Apple, and I spend 9 to 5 there. 5 o'clock I come back to the office. This is 5 p.m. and I have a few consultants. I spend some time with the consultants, etc. I write the software that I need to do, and by about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I go to sleep. I do a 2 hour, 3 hour in the couch in the Logic Vision office, and morning I'm back to Apple. That kind of trade off is not what many youngsters think a startup is all about, right? I mean, that doesn't happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's show. From a young immigrant with a vision to building a $1 billion company, multiply that to companies in Silicon Valley, Rajeev Madhavan has not only mastered tech, he's mastered the immigrant's experience. Today, we uncover the pain, the purpose, and the lessons behind his extraordinary journey and how artificial intelligence is challenging how to remain competitive in 2025 and beyond. Rajiv, welcome to the Immigrant Pod. You are out in Silicon Valley. That is where we have the most concentrated percentage of immigrants who are participating in the transition or the application of AI in today's world. As an immigrant, what should I be sensitive to and what do I need to be pivoting?
That's a very loaded question, Martin, because I'll tell you a few things about what AI is going to do. Right? I think um, a lot of us were gifted with the fact that we were good programmers or have learned certain aspects of programming and creating businesses. What America helped this immigrant, and I'm sure 80% of the immigrant, is open our eyes to being able to exploit that opportunity and create new businesses. That's what Silicon Valley helped us do. So instead of just writing software, we were thinking of how do we create something of value and create it together. Some of the core jobs that are created from AI alone, from AI driving into software programming, etc., will decrease the amount of some of the lower end of the jobs that are existing in places like Silicon Valley, Bangalore, Tel Aviv, Boston, Austin, every tech centers. It's going to reduce the amount of software programming jobs that exist. Having said that, the opportunity to create better businesses quicker, have bigger dreams of creating bigger value, is going to be actually bigger and better in the AI driven world. So you're going to have large companies with very few founders being able to create and create the value with. And that's going to be a very, very unique opportunity, but it's also going to create a lot of questions that there are people who are going to create billions of dollars of revenue with just small amount of fraction of people, that the delta between haves and have-nots, the world cannot address with AI as I see it. It's going to further increase that until we all figure out how to use it and create more value.
So this is what I find interesting, Rajiv, when we start talking about AI, because I go out there and I'm reading about AI. I'm listening to people who have a knowledge base like you do of what AI can and will do now and in the future. And some of us have started playing with ChatGPT and on and on. But for typical guy, for typical immigrant who is looking to remain relevant in the marketplace, is concerned that they may lose their job, or they're concerned that they are losing out on the gold rush of what opportunities that the AI can create. How do they develop their mindset, their thinking, to a place where they can be able to remain competitive in the marketplace?
See, I think you should not view it that way. Let me give you an example, right?
Let's go
If
for
you
it.
if you think about the world and the evolution of the world, there were only few people who could read in the very early days of the written language, right? And those who could read could interpret documents, whether it is spiritual documents, whether it is, and they had the power, and the rest of the people were sort of listening to them. And the power could be misused, whether it is religious based, whether it is, race based, everything humanity could do wrong. Humanity has always done in that phase. Today, you may see AI as that, but actually, what AI is doing is making people who are not had the luck or the opportunity to learn computer science and be in that plethora of the learned people. It wipes out the difference. It allows you to be able to be functional without having to learn the geekiness of the 4 years of computer science, etc., that has happened. So I think if you look at it from a long-term perspective, what we are doing is going to make it a lot easier for people in the masses to be able to create things of value much quicker and be much more productive. Whether you are an event organizer, you want to organize things better, you could write an application to do that without having to hire me to do a programming or things like that, right? So the world is getting democratized in terms of that application building, the capability of writing software, etc. And not understanding that is fine, because you will be able to communicate with the system without having to do that. But having said that, in the short term, when the tools are not yet there, when the ability is not there, there is going to be opportunities where a few people will actually use it, benefit it, and be the first to create the multi-billion-dollar value propositions that we can talk about, right? So short term, some negatives. Long term, I see the value of AI as actually good. And
Okay,
how do we,
so
right? When we go through this, obviously humanity has a tendency of using what is the best advantage for the small period to do whatever they can do, and create whatever mess they can create. That may or may not happen, and I think, but on the longer term, what we are working on has its own, is the best is yet to come.
so I come from the side of optimism, right? When I look at the history of humanity and how humanity has developed in the last several decades, several centuries, I completely concur with your analogy. My hope or concern at the moment is we have accelerated the evolution of human intelligence so quickly, but I'm not sure that the masses, the majority, have the access or the capacity to be able to take advantage of what's happening now or in the next several months. So really my concern is, how do immigrants who are listening to us, who are watching this show today, if you had an opportunity to have a conversation with them and say, hey, this is what is going on, these are the places where you can take advantage of, this is what I think would best benefit you, where do we start?
So I think, remember, people who could use Google and do search in the early days of internet had an advantage, right? As soon as it came about, if you could use it, you could organize and get better data. If you're a travel agent, you could use it to book better trips for me or anybody, right? I mean, it was chaotic. I mean, it got more organized over a period of time. Chat GPTs and the likes of Chat GPT, whether it is whatever model it is, you get the ability to do that. First thing I would tell people is, you now have an opportunity to answer questions that otherwise would have taken you months, etc., by downloading a few applications and asking the right questions. Please start with that today. You do not have time to waste. Use every capability. Knowledge is now at your fingertips, literally at your fingertips or from your mouth, because you can talk to it now. So knowledge is getting there. My ability to go to a particular place where I don't speak the language and talk to that is also, I mean, all those things are automatically getting done with just a few access that you do. So as long as you start playing with these things, you will be on the leading edge of things. So start by playing with those things, asking questions, asking generic questions that you would ask somebody about through that system, and learning through that system. Get more and more complex as you proceed, and over a period of 3 to 6 months, you will be doing some things that you cannot be doing. And as part of that, you can also then start learning about where are different things in AI going. So let's say your interest, Martin, is in podcast and getting more customers for podcasts. I'm just picking an example here, not saying that that's your interest. I don't know that, but I'm just making that as one of the experiences, right? You learn that, okay, you ask ChatGPT some questions, you figure out some tools it points out, heads down to learn a few things in that space. You suddenly become an expert in how to get more customers to your podcast, for example, how to get this, how do you optimize that, how do you set up email flows of reminding people that my show is on right now, watching this, put an ad for that, where to pick the ads. Right now, Martin, you're probably not spending a lot of money on ads, etc. But if these tools help you with very little money optimize your spend to get the best viewership you need, you would be more than happy to do that, because obviously you want to increase your
Yes.
subscriptions,
Yes.
right? So this is all of that analysis is what you could end up doing as part of your ChatGPT work, and then you learn 2 3 other tools. You need to create them. It's a little difficult today. You have all these things like land chain, land graph, etc. for agents, etc. Forget all that right now. Use what you have as commodity and start learning and improving your day-to-day life. That's a good start.
Very interesting. So I think we just jumped into it when we went too far. I'm going to bring us back because I think there are places I wanted us
Yeah.
to explore a little bit. For those who are just joining our conversation, we are speaking with Rajeev. Today's show has been sponsored by Northwest EMS. We need your help to move today's conversation. So please follow us and join the movement on social media. TikTok, Instagram is at Immigrant Nation, and Facebook at the Immigrant Nation Podcast. LinkedIn and YouTube is the Immigrant Nation Podcast. Rajiv, the mystery of life isn't meant to be resolved. It's meant to be experienced. Take us back to the beginning. What's your immigration story? What did you carry with you
So,
beyond just luggage?
I had luggage, and I was lucky enough to have 3,000 Canadian dollars that I came with. Okay, I think it was a little less than 3,000 Canadian dollars, but I had about that.
Mhm.
Okay, my dad had given me his somewhat savings and said, "Go ahead." And I was flown with that money, which is a big contribution as far as he's concerned. It was a very large investment as far as he was concerned. I was coming to school in Canada, and I had that. I had a degree knowledge in undergraduate in electrical engineer and electronics engineering, as it was called, and computer science aspects of things. But I have to tell you that when I came in 1987, in India we had most machines and computers that was mostly some Russian made,
Mhm.
okay, and had some PCs, but you have to stand in line to get access to PCs, okay? And I was not that hardworking a student, okay? I'm not going to stand in line to do work, etc. So I land here with basic knowledge, okay? However, in the first 1 or 2 quarters, you get set that you're an idiot in the class, okay? That you may not pass if you go at this rate. And also, you have to make money. With this $3,000, I'll be done with the fees paid. You're down to 2 3 months of survival. So I had to take up teaching assistantship, research assistantship was paying for some of the expenses, some of the fees. But I knew I had to quickly make money. So I took up teaching assistantship. I was teaching the fourth year undergraduate students. As I told you, I'm one of the weaker guys in some sense, and I have to teach these kids who are top of the line, who are really good. nothing better than a fool having to teach experts. And it was a desire of having to grow fast. So clearly, I would learn more from that opportunity to teach, because I would learn the books the night before, and go out there, and some smart kid would say, "You're full of it." Like, unlike in India, where when I was a student, I'm never going to tell a teacher, "You're full of it, you're shit, you're an idiot." You have that respect for the teacher. Whereas here, you never had that, and you suddenly wake up and you go, "My God, I got to learn all this stuff." So that was actually very good for me in hindsight. It kind of made me improve my ability in the grad school program to have to learn some of the undergraduate stuff also and get it learned. So I landed up with a desire to succeed. I had decided I was going to get married the next year. My fiance was returning to Canada from India. She had gone to school in India for 4 years. Was going to come back to Canada. So essentially, lack of money is going to be even worse with the two of us having to leave. So the ability to take anything that anybody says in software to write as a job, I'm there. I put up my hand, I take money, right? And I'll write your code for you. I do whatever it takes. So it was an opportunity to work hard that comes from the sheer aspect of lack of dollars, which I did not have when I was growing up in India. I mean, I come from a middle-income Indian family, didn't have shortage of money like that. And when you land up here, you are in the lowest end of the spectrum, and you need to survive. So it was great, good rude shock, made me study and work hard, do a lot of things that I would normally not be inclined to do in India. And the 1 or 2 years was great. I got my first job at a company called Bell Northern Research. And again, I was not particularly the hardest working employee. I mean, I have to tell you, for the first 6 months, I was hosting for 3, 4 months until, about 4 or 5 months in, one of my managers, Ed Waffney, his name was. I give him a lot of credit for setting me in the right path. He called me in and he said, "Rajeev, I see a lot of capabilities in you, but you don't work hard." And he basically said, "If you go down this path, I have to let you go." And Martin, nothing better than that fear of that made me stand up, and it almost immediately changed my life. In the next 6 months, that same manager would, in a meeting with a customer, I was talking about what we should be doing, and the rest of the team was like, "That's Rajeev's view." And this manager stood up and said, "No, no, no, I want all of you to listen to that." It gave me such a huge confidence boost that it changed me overnight, right? So, wanted to do a startup in Canada during that phase on a product we had worked on. But in Canada, there was no venture capital, there was no money to do that. And I came here for a paper in a conference here in Silicon Valley, right, in February of 1991. And guess what? I fell in love with Silicon Valley. I mean, the weather was fantastic. Canada was so cold. And for an Indian boy in Canada, I couldn't ski, I couldn't walk on ice. I fall 10 times. And this was paradise. Okay. So I called my then wife and said, "We're moving here, we should move." And it didn't take much of a cajoling because the weather was fantastic. And we decided to move here, right? I mean, and so BNR actually posted me here for a year when I told them I want to leave. But fundamentally, it was Silicon Valley who kind of gave me the opportunity to take that entrepreneurship to happen, right? So growing up in India, I never had an entrepreneurial DNA in me. My parents all worked for government jobs, middle income. If I wanted to do some business, sell something 600, my mom will hit me if I do that. It's not, she would be so annoyed that I'm focused on that versus finding a very large company. So no particular startup DNA. and you show up here in Silicon Valley, and things change because you understand, you know how to write software, and you see people saying good things about you, and you sort of are about your technical capabilities, and at the same time you see people making money with doing startups with similar technology, and voila, a light bulb goes up in you. I mean, so it's a shift that happened very early in my career, because I only worked 2-3 years in a big company before going and doing my own startup. So
Rajiv, there's a couple of things you said that I want to bring you back. I, for my sake, I understand. Like, I truly, truly understand as an entrepreneur what the term working hard really means. But for that immigrant who is living paycheck to paycheck, for that immigrant who's struggling and is working two jobs and it's not working out for them, right? When you say working hard, and I can imagine myself working two jobs and I still am struggling. What does working hard toward freedom, which is where I believe you are coming from, because it's what my working hard is when you get to a place where you have freedom to make decisions that you want to make. What does that working hard mean for you? What does it look like?
yeah, so this is a very interesting thing that I need to tell you. Some of the newer generation of kids have a lifestyle belief, etc. Right? They basically will say, "Oh, XYZ, my family is more important. I'm going to quit my job because of this reason." If you get into a startup, you better have a spouse who's completely committed, and an entire family who's more committed to this than you are. Okay? If you're not, if you don't have that support system, you're going to be a abysmal failure. For me, I was very, very lucky to have that. Okay? And it was an essential portion of being successful. Why? I will give you an example. My first startup was a company called Logic Vision. In the morning, when I have time, I'm going to my first customer, Apple, and I spend 9 to 5 there. 5 o'clock, I come back to the office. This is 5 p.m. And I have a few consultants. I spend some time with the consultants, etc. I write the software that I need to do, and by about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I go to sleep. I do a 2 hour, 3 hour in the couch in the Logic Vision office, and morning I'm back to Apple. This was only possible because my wife understood what it was. She would bring food there, and we are sitting there and eating. That's how I would have the half an hour with her. That kind of trade off is not what many youngsters think a startup is all about, right? I mean, that doesn't
Yeah.
happen today's life. And so when I say, Martin, it's work tirelessly, it's work tirelessly with not just yourself, but with your family fully blessed and ready to go with a line with you.
You said and I quote, you said, "I was not a hardworking student." That was first count. And then second count was, "I was not the hardest working employee."
All that changed because you found the right people, right?
Okay.
So that's the beauty
Walk
of
us
it,
through the
right?
change. Walk us
This
through that
one
change.
manager, this one manager could light the fire in me, and I became the hardest working employee. One professor in my fourth year undergraduate did a similar thing with respect to my education, right? So this is where life needs mentors. Life needs people who actually take a liking for you and tell you, man, I know you are gifted, but you're an idiot wasting your life. And I need you to step up, and you need to listen and look at that, right? I mean, that was fantastic to have those people come at you. Right? I mean, I may not have liked the message on that
Mhm.
night that this guy delivered it before going out of the office, but within a week I internalized it. Right? I said, he's right. I'm wrong. Right? And you change your career. And that's what I expect most entrepreneurs to have a quality on, right? I mean, it's basically taking the right input and being able to go and do things differently. So I'll basically make this bet: being extra smart is going to get you only to a particular point. Okay, being hardworking is essential to go from there to the successes you need as an
Does
entrepreneur.
hard work require a plan, or is just dig into what you're doing and just work?
It absolutely needs a plan. If you absolutely believe you're doing the wrong things, you got to scrub it and you got to change it and you got to keep changing until it's something that you're extremely comfortable with,
Okay. Yes.
right? How you do it to everything. I mean, and you have to be the worst critic of yourself. You basically have to criticize, did I do this right, did I do that wrong? I always say, as an entrepreneur, you're allowed to make the first mistake, but if you're repeating that same mistake the second time, then you're a fool. By the third time, you should fire yourself.
My goodness, I have no doubt. So some people will push back and they'll say, hey, I don't have the mentality or the capacity to want to become an entrepreneur. It's just not my thing. I like a 9 to 5
Yeah.
or whatever, and I like to work for somebody else. So how do I become successful? And if I want to be successful and tap into the power of mentorship, how do we combine the two?
Combining the two is requires not just you as an entrepreneur. You need to build a class of people like you, and you should be able to divide and conquer the work. Okay. I did not necessarily have that in all my companies, right? I mean, not everybody was as hardworking as I was. I had to kind of, I became so addicted to what I'm doing. I also enjoyed what I do. I mean, that's also part of what it is, right? You can't be an entrepreneur in something that you don't like. Right? You need to realize I like this. I can make it my home. I can make a success with that and go from there. Right? So if somebody is telling you that I want to be an entrepreneur and I'm not willing to do these things that I'm telling you, then I mean, you are probably not going to be successful. You may get lucky. Luck plays an important role in everything in life. I accept that. But your luck will run out if, after a period of time. You may be lucky to have made the money that you need before your luck ran out. But to do it on a consistent basis, you need a hard work, a plan, and you need to pivot your plan to the point where, when pivoting is not just changing ideas, pivoting is how you do things to a point of being able to succeed with the project that you have undertaken.
So, as an immigrant, with as much experience as you've gone through, and as much influence and development as you have brought into the software world, what has been your biggest personal struggle that you probably are still struggling with today?
Yeah, so, I mean, with this comes a lot of guilt of not having spent time with your kids, etc. Okay? I have two daughters, and their events at school, etc., I did not attend
Mhm.
mostly. Today, they will tell me about it. You were not there when we were growing up, right? It's what I call the guilt playing to get whatever you need to do.
I thought I was the only one who was suffering through that.
Yeah. But the point, Martin, is there's a lot of truth
Yes.
to that, and I feel really bad about it.
Yeah.
Okay? I would like to say I'm extremely close to them, but I'm not. I know that. But it does not change my love for them or their feelings for me, etc., etc. But there is a continuous struggle of how do I patch that relationship, how do I build that relationship versus the hard work I still need to do, right? And a lot of it may have caused things which make your communication with them be more direct rather than sort of have fun while doing that communication, which I seem to be able to do with my fellow workers or in startups that I fund to work with, more than sometimes I do with my own kids, right? And that sets off the message inside my head that something wrong here fundamentally, Richie. And it does exist. I'm not going to say it does not exist, right? So I struggle. It's always a line. I keep trying to push, and then I figure out I can't push that hard. So it's sort of a struggle, Martin, that goes on and on and on because I've screwed up the early phase of my life on that, right?
So, this is the balance of life that entrepreneurs need to really, really prepare for, right? Because as you're telling your
Yeah,
story, I can envision myself in your place, right?
yeah.
I and I wanna pick up the phone and I want to talk to my daughter, and she knows I'm crazy about her, and I want to tell her, most of what I was doing, what most of what I continue to doing is to set you up and your generations, right? Because I work for legacy. For for entrepreneurs, for immigrants who find themselves in our place, in the place where we are now today, how do they, moving forward and thinking about what AI can do, because it will reduce the amount of hours you have to work, how do they plan differently?
But modern AI doesn't. Okay, for some people, it'll reduce the amount of work that they
Okay.
need to do. For people like me, it actually is opposite. I do not further.
Oh my goodness.
So do not think. So I don't think it's going to make a difference whatsoever. Right? I will be very honest in telling you that. But the aspect of things that are important are very simple, right? I think there is a right balance between life, hard work, and your family, your kids, your
Mhm.
things, right? That balance is sometimes not as good as it needs to be when you are an entrepreneur and you're in this life. I'm hopeful that in the future the kids will all understand that he did it because of which we have a better lifestyle than what he had. Right? I mean, that's the truth. They cannot afford what they would have afforded had I not put in that amount of time, energy, and effort. But the value realization of that takes time to happen because at that kid's age, that's not what you're looking for. When that starts to, get into your mindset, I'm hoping things will change. Modern hope is eternal, and I'm hopeful, right?
So, Rajiv, you've seen both sides of scarcity and abundance. I mean, you've turned around a few zeros in your lifestyle. I mean, in your lifetime as an entrepreneur. When you think about immigrants today, what do you wish they knew economically, spiritually, politically? What truth do you think many immigrants are missing?
So first things first. I do not get involved on any of these things from a political perspective, etc. I try um, to have a difference as much as I can, but of course, as I begin to watch certain things happen, I do contribute and do what I can with respect to that. But let me give you an example, right? When I first started my first startup and my second startup, I pitched to one of the top venture firms in Silicon Valley. And they knew next to nothing about me. In the first 30 minutes, one of the questions they asked me, the reason why I got the meeting was I had on my board somebody called Gordon Bell, who's the inventor of wax computing for a DEC, digital company. He invented the Max computer, which essentially became one of the biggest mainframe computing platform in the United States. Right. So when he calls a VC, they would take my meeting. 80% of the meeting through, even if they like, the first question they ask is, "I know you can write software, Rajeev, but who's going to be the CEO?" And so they have no decision associated with that. and I gave up my position very quickly. Okay, to somebody who can just do selling, but he has no idea what it is, and that also doesn't work. Fundamentally, if you bring in somebody who really doesn't understand what is the strength of your product, where can you go, all he can do is make a quick buck quickly and get out. So you have to go through those humbling experiences that you have to go through to build your experience and to build your own strength to be able to go and run the next company that I had an opportunity to do, right? So as an entrepreneur, humility has to be high. It's not your ego that you're going to win with. It's going to be the purpose of what you're doing, not the ego with which you're living that purpose. And it's important as an immigrant to understand that, because we start at the lower end of the totem pole and we are climbing fast. We need to be what we not only we need to be humble ourselves. We need to understand that the next person who comes in, we have to be humble to help them in the right fashion as well.
Talk to us about your experience in partnerships.
Partnership meaning startups, partnerships, or
So you've partnered with venture capital firms, you've partnered with business partners, you've partnered with other vendors. Majority of us think running a business is having a little bit of startup capital and an idea and then putting it out in the marketplace, not realizing how quickly your idea can be accelerated depending on who you're partnering with and what your target is. How do we bring our
yeah.
ideas to the marketplace with the hindsight of realizing the power of the right partners?
So this is a partner doesn't mean somebody who's exactly like me. Okay, partner is exactly opposite of the experience and talent I have, right? I mean, that's what you need to bring. Now, at the end of the game, experience has taught me that I am one of those guys who needs to be, sort of in a place where it's non-political and I can go and push things done and get it done, right? I mean, and as a result of this, pick a partner who plays the role for you for that particular role that you believe you're weak at, which doesn't mean he or she shares the same interest as you. I mean, maybe you like to go on Saturdays on hikes. Maybe he likes to sit in his home and listen to music. It doesn't matter. It's a business relationship and a partnership, right? It's not like your spouse where you're going to see each other 24/7 and you got to put up with some levels of interest together. But this is not that. This is interest with respect to the company, interest with respect to the humility is needed, interest with respect to being the right person for the whole team. Those are all needed. But with respect to experience, it should be what does he bring, what does you bring, what do you bring, right? Those two are important, in and yang that needs to come together.
Rajiv, if we can pivot to where the world is today and AI, there is the front
Yeah.
end of software development and then there is the back end of capital. What are we supposed to be aware of?
So the front end of software, I would say instead front end of application development is what it's going to become, right? The end application is what you're going to be building. And then there's capital. See, the way capital finds its way in places like Silicon Valley is it's a little bit like herds, right? I mean, the lead dog goes and then the whole sheep follows the dog. That's how capital is distributed in Silicon Valley in 80% of the problems. Okay, when something is happening, there's too much money going into that. You have to be the leader very quickly and get it out. So, especially in this AI world, because everybody is going to be able to compete with you in relatively quick and quicker period of time as AI becomes more useful and more easier to adopt and deploy and use. So, it's if you are building in some of these areas, the access to capital, access to being able to move fast on that capital is going to determine your success or failure. In the olden days, you could take time and build the companies, etc., and go from there. That will be good. I mean, that'll be fine. The rest of it does not matter. But today, that's not the case. Today, your pace with which we are moving has to go faster with AI, because the next guy coming in or gal coming in is going to be able to do it with lesser resources than you did. And that's the power of AI. So speed of operations. That's why bringing in the right partners, bringing in the right team, pull quickly. And for that, as an immigrant, requires you to be part of a team to do that, or a team building mentality. Because the speed is going to dominate and win in this case. There are only two technical modes that's possible. One is that speed, velocity, and being able to get out there, or access to certain private data of some sort that gives you the data mode that you need for the models that you build. These are the only two real areas where AI can differentiate. Everything else is going to be, everybody has access to be able to build it themselves. Martin, we got 5 minutes. I kind of got out for 12, but I just do want to make sure that we start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we jump off, Rajeev, let's double back on speed, velocity, and access. How do you combine the three to remain at the forefront of development, and especially in this new AI age?
So with AI, the reality is this, right? I talked about it, right? Software as a service was the last 10 years of the world.
Yes.
It's now going to be service as a software. You can take existing services that then use these current software vendors and change it to being a delivered agentic solution that does the solution of both the software and the service angle of things in a software that's provided and delivered as a service. If you think about that motion, you can do a lot more than what you would do in a single SaaS company that exists today. So the beauty is, you see, it used to be like, if you take, for example, security, cloud security, or security in general, it's like a dam has a lot of small holes, dikes. You kind of put your finger and close each one of the holes. That's how the companies have evolved. There is like somebody who's doing this, then someone will find a gap here in security, he'll go plug that. The ability for a startup in AI is being able to actually cover a much bigger canvas in software much quickly. So you may start with a bulk of things addressed, but you can grow bigger and bigger a lot quicker than what you could have done in the past. Right? If you execute properly. So if you tame the velocity, you tame the execution speed, so that you can dominate in a big enough blob, then you can grow to the next blob and take it over in the same fashion and keep repeating that.
All right, excellent.
Now, I am an ongoing entrepreneur, so I'm not saying that it ends, right? It just, you have to keep going and keep pushing harder and harder, and you're certainly going to be able to succeed and build some things if you follow that model.
All right, thank you, Rajeev. I want to be respectful of your time, so I'm very, very grateful that you made the time for us this afternoon. Immigrants, we have been speaking with Rajeev Madhavan. His story reminds us as immigrants that the burden we carry to the countries we choose to migrate to, and the possible results of persistent hard work and discipline can bring to you. It is sure that once you put in hard work and you keep persistence, that you will get to your dreams and to your goal. Today's show has been sponsored by Northwest EMS. We need your help to move today's conversation. Please follow us and join the movement on social media. Rajeev, tell us where we can find you on social media.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Rajeev Madhavan, or you can find me on X now, I guess, and on Facebook on Rajeev Madhavan, on Instagram on the same thing. So it's all at the same place in all of the websites. and and look forward to communicating with entrepreneurs who are on a mission to do certain things unique and new in applications in AI.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our job here at the Immigrant Pod is to support you in your goals and your endeavors. Any way we can help, please let us know. Rajiv, thank you for making the time for us. And until next time, bye bye.